Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Trail of Cthulhu First Edition tabletop role-playing game rules by Pelgrane Press. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Listeners should know that this show may include mature themes and scenes. All content, including names, places, events, and so forth, which may bear resemblance to entities living, dead, or eldritch, is strictly coincidental. My name is Rena Henze, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Old Ways podcast Trail of Cthulhu campaign, Silver Screams. We're back with another prelude tonight to introduce one of our wonderful investigators, and I have a fantastic player here with me to do so tonight. But before we get into that introduction, I'd like to say thank you to all of our listeners, and especially you, the Patreon supporters. We could not do any of this without you. If you'd like to see what we have to offer on Patreon, or if you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. And now let's get to introductions. To my right.
Good evening. I'm Bunny. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be playing Yvonne St. Her pronouns are also she, her. And she's just an aspiring makeup artist and otherwise not at all sneaky person. So this should be fine.
Not at all. Definitely not. It'll be fine. All right. So it is a slightly dusty and very oppressively warm evening in June of 1936 as the camera once more zooms in on Avalon Studios. Specifically this evening, we look in on the makeup department, which is in a trailer outside Lot 1. There are only 2 lots in this studio because we are an indie studio. We are not one of the big 5, and therefore we cannot afford as many lots and buildings as perhaps we would like to. But this makeup studio is a little busy at the moment with 3 people in it. And the camera zooms in on one of those people who is cleaning off her makeup brushes at the moment. And this person is, who is she? What does she look like? Tell us about her, Bunny.
So Yvonne is just your average kind of petite, but still shapely, 5'2", 28-year-old woman of the era. She keeps her hair in a nice little bob with, I'm sure we can all picture those 1930s water waves. Her hair is always like that, or in a Marcel, which is just a even fancier, even curlier bob of the era. But she likes to keep it very simple. Though with her hairdresser bestie at work, I don't think that anybody would let her get away with her hair being sloppy on the job. So she tries to keep so that people are confident in her makeup and hair skills while trusting them, their own heads in her hands. She's been doing this for a few years now, professionally, instead of just chasing around the gaggle of children in her family and family friends' households as one of the elders in her generation. So she has a pretty good handle on things, but she still definitely presents herself in that sort of dolled up manner as sort of a confidence armor, I think. Otherwise, brown eyes, dark, almost black-brown hair, a little mousier than I think she pretends like she is when she's at the studio.
Excellent. So we see her cleaning up her makeup brushes, see Yvonne there, with the lead makeup artist, Phoebe Jones, who is a white woman, older, in her 50s, wearing a long dress that's a few years out of style. She's got her hair, which is graying, pulled back in a bun. And you have come in to clean up after helping with some of the background actors removing their makeup and so on. They don't get to come sit in the fancy chairs in the makeup studio. You go to them on the lot and just hastily take off their makeup because they don't have anything super complicated, and that's part of your job. Phoebe's the one who works with with Clarissa Elliott, who is the leading lady, with Henry Dawlish, who is the leading man, with all of these, all of the named roles. Essentially, she does most of the work on them. Though you've been able to do a little bit of work on Lilith St. Cyr recently. You've been allowed to do so because now you've worked here long enough that, okay, maybe. And you've come in after the leading actors and actresses have left for the night. You're cleaning off your brushes, and Phoebe's there with you. And she's a pleasant older lady, always got a smile for you. She's very strict about the work, but she very much doesn't see herself as above you. And so she likes to talk to you and the other makeup artists when you come into the studio and when you're putting things away. And so she says, well, now that filming's wrapped on The Devil's Locket, how are we feeling about our work?
Oh, I think today just went absolutely splendidly. I mean, everyone looked real nifty, and I think it went smooth. Right, Phoebe?
I think so. You did really well with the painting on the dirt on Miss St. Cyr. Very well done. I know she doesn't like being dirtied up all that much, and she looked quite a mess, and I had quite a time taking it off of her earlier this evening, but it was quite nice what you did. I appreciate the little detailing work.
Well, Miss St. Cyr, as much as she doesn't enjoy being that dirty, is quite a still and exceptional canvas to work on. So
she really is. She's got her aunt's talents. You know, she's quite exceptional.
Really is.
And you know that Phoebe actually did makeup on Lillian St. Cyr in a couple of movies in the silent film era. So Phoebe actually knows Lillian.
Incredible.
Yeah, so you know that from just things that Lilith has told you back at home. She says, well, I'm very pleased with the work that you did. And there's someone else who wants to tell you that you're doing a great job. And she calls out, Mr. Moore, and the door to the trailer opens, and Evan Moore, the director, comes in. This big, broad-shouldered man with curly hair. He looks very tired. It is kind of late at night. Everyone has spent so long wrapping the film today, doing cleanup and post-filming work, and he's been very intense for the last couple weeks getting things done. But he gives you a smile, and he says, so yes, Yvonne, I know we've only spoken a couple times, but Miss Jones has spoken very highly of you and your work on the last couple of shoots. I am told you did the dirt effects on Miss St. Cyr today.
Yes, sir, I did. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
You're doing some really, really good work. You know, and he looks at Phoebe, who just nods encouragingly and says, well, Miss Joy, I've got a new film that I'm going to be working on. We won't start makeup tests and so on for a couple of weeks. We have to start the film readings next week and so on. But I think I'd like to have you working on it. I've seen some of the little detailed work that you've done with the extras and the background, and I've noticed that you put just as much detail into the background actors as Miss Jones here does with the leading actors. You've got an eye for detail, and you take such great care with everyone. I've never seen that from a makeup artist working on the background actors.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I just think that even if they're in the background, people will notice them too, and that it's just as important for them to look the parts as much as it is for the people in the foreground. I know that Miss Jones does an incredible job on the leading actors, so I just really appreciate you acknowledging what I've done here, and I look forward to working on projects with you. The upcoming film sounds like an incredible opportunity.
I can't tell you too much about it yet. I want to wait until the actors and the actresses have read their scripts, which will be tomorrow. but we're going in a new direction, at least for the films that I'm directing. Mr. Radigan has given me some leeway with some things to work on. Edgar Radigan is the studio head. He's the wealthy playboy who funds the whole thing. Well, Mr. Radigan has given me lead to move into a new direction. I think that will really shake things up in the industry, that might get us some attention. And I'm looking for special people to work on this with me. I already have, well, obviously, Miss Elliott and Mr. Dawlish will be taking the leading roles, of course.
Of course.
Of course. And I've asked Miss St. Cyr to be part of this production, and I've been noticing with all your detail work, I think I'd like you to work on Miss St. Cyr's makeup for this film, and maybe do some of the other work. Of course, you won't just work on one person. We don't have the budget for that. He laughs. And there's maybe some creative opportunities with some of the, it looks side to side, things that we'll have in the movie. But if you're interested at all, Miss Joy, in working primarily on Miss St. Cyr and doing some other work on my film, I think you've got talent, and I'd like to spotlight it.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Moore. That's so kind of you. I would love to work on Miss St. Cyr and other things that may be in that film. That would be such an opportunity. Thank you so much. I promise to do as much detail work on anybody or thing that should appear.
I like finding the people who aren't necessarily as well known or visible, let's say, and giving them chances. It's how I was brought into directing, and someone gave me a chance over the more well-known names and over the sons of people who had big names or money. And I just wanted you to know that I've noticed you and your work, and I want to give you a chance like I was given a chance.
Well, that's very kind of you. I think that chances like these are how dreams actually come together for people. So I appreciate that so much.
We're gonna do something fantastic with this film, Miss Joy. And you and Miss Jones will be part of that. And Phoebe laughs a little bit. She's always a part of it. She's the head of the makeup studio. But Evan smiles at you and then wipes his brow and looks tired again. I think that's all for the moment. I know it's getting very late, and I don't want to keep you ladies up too late. You need your beauty sleep. But I wanted to make sure I talked to you before you went home for the night. I know you're going to be working on the other film on Studio 2 for a couple weeks until we start back at Studio 1. But I know Westerns aren't very challenging for your skills, so hopefully what I do with you will really give you something to work with.
Oh, I can't wait. Sounds fantastic. Thank you.
And he smiles and pulls at the collar of his shirt a little bit, and he leaves the trailer. And Phoebe turns to look at you, eyes wide. Well, haven't you just been discovered?
That's so exciting and such a step up from background actors only, and wow. Huh. I'm curious to see what he means by things, but anything other than just dirtying some cowboys for a couple weeks sounds great.
Yes, I know the detective fiction we just finished wasn't the most challenging, and the Westerns they have you on most of the time, probably repetitive for you.
Well, I mean, it's work.
Pays the bills.
Pays the bills. It's experience. You make it work.
But I'll be happy for you to have some other ways to express yourself. But going straight from background and character actors into a secondary role like Miss St. Cyr, that's quite impressive. I had to spend much longer time working my way up.
Well, I've been under your wing this whole time. How could I not gain experience faster than others that unfortunately can't work with somebody like you? I mean, you're a legend.
She smiles and tilts her head a little bit, very pleased with the flattery. Well, I suppose that's true. Not everyone has had the benefit of my tutelage.
She gets a big toothy grin from Yvonne at that.
But I'm pleased for you. I think this will be a good opportunity for you, and you'll get more of a credit in the film, and that's good for you as well. I like to see young people, especially young women, getting names for themselves in this business. It was very hard when I started out, even with the silent films. I started with the theater and then went into silent movies, and now here we are. Imagine that. The talkies.
That's an incredible shift of pace in your work, especially with having to invert all the colors like that.
Color in theater and color on film, very different things.
Very different.
That's why I have such a wide array of skills.
And that is why I called you a legend. I can't imagine tutelage from anyone else.
She laughs. Well, you'll be needing to work more with the costume department as well, if you do the work on this film. I'm going to have you actually follow me. When we first start working on makeup, we'll need to do consultations with costumes to make sure that the makeup direction we decide to go in aligns with the costumes, especially since I don't know exactly what Mr. Moore is going to be doing. But we'll be working very closely with them. You haven't had to do a whole lot of that recently with just working on background actors whose costumes don't matter as much. But with someone like Miss St. Cyr, or if you are lucky, Miss Elliot, then you'll need to be in very close contact with the costumes department as well. We need to make sure they line up and that the makeup suits the outfit and vice versa. That's a very important part of our job. And she puts some of her makeup brushes into her kit and yawns a little bit. Do you have any questions for me, my dear, before I leave for the night? For your exciting opportunity?
Oh no, please go get your rest. I'm excited to follow you and work with even more of the studio soon.
She yawns even louder. Sorry, at my age, late nights get harder. But I'm excited for you, my dear. You will have a great future ahead of you. Have a good evening, Yvonne.
Yes, of course. You have a good evening too, Phoebe.
She packs up her kit and she leaves for the evening, leaving you with your brushes and your powders and everything else that's full of lead all around you. And it is now about 10 p.m. It is late. You have been here since 7. You had to come in early to start work. With doing a lot of the character actors and the background actors, you had to be here even earlier than Phoebe did because you had many more people to work on. And you also like to get in early so that you can do that detail work that Director Moore noted in your occupation. So you are tired, but I don't want to assume that Yvonne just goes home after a night or after a long day working in the studio. Does Yvonne participate in nightlife? Does she go out for the evening? What does Yvonne do?
So Yvonne, assuming that Kit and Miss St. Cyr have gone home already, then Yvonne would go to Sunset Strip.
So Lilith has already left. You see Kit leaving for the night as you head out. Kit is a bit solitary in the evenings. He keeps himself to himself. You've never even seen the place where he lives. He doesn't notice you as he's getting into his taxi to go home. And you are able to head off towards the Sunset Strip. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and where you're headed?
So I would be going to Sunset Strip, which is a section of West Hollywood where there's an exceptional type of nightlife, especially in the 1930s. Sunset Strip is where where you'd find clubs, bars, restaurants that all cater to discrete queer activity. So you'd find all of the original Hollywood gay and lesbian bars, subtle restaurants where everyone knows that if there's a married couple there, it's a lavender marriage, etc. So I would be heading to my favorite watering hole in West Hollywood to see if they're familiar faces, or just maybe to celebrate this new opportunity with my favorite bartender who usually works the night.
Absolutely. You're fairly well known in the places that you go to. Not notoriety, but because you show up. You've been here for a couple years now. You spend a good amount of time there, and people recognize you. The regulars recognize you when you come in. So what's the name of the queer club that you go to on the most regular basis?
So I would be going to spend my evening at my favorite watering hole, Peaches.
Okay. So you get to Peaches, which is a fairly bustling club. It is pretty active in the nightlife down here on the Strip. And it's got some lively music going as you pull up. Do you drive or do you take a cab?
I would drive.
You drive yourself. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So as you drive up to this club, there's lively music coming from it. You pass couples on the street of various genders passing you and making loud jokes or comments or talking to each other and trying to keep each other up because they're so dreadfully drunk, even at this stage of the night. And you make your way into Peaches, which the air is very vibrant in here. Everyone is having a wonderful time. There's some lively jazz playing, people are dancing to. And since Prohibition is over, people are openly serving drinks. Peaches used to be a speakeasy just a few years ago, before they could actually go legit once Prohibition ended. But you still get some of kind of that feel to it in the atmosphere and the decor of what it used to be in here. And you have waitresses and waiters passing around cocktails and beers and flirting with various people. You've got women here in men's attire, like full-on ties and suspenders and everything. Women were starting to wear more masculine attire in the 30s, but it wasn't as super common as it would become later. And it's a bit still seen as a bit subversive in a lot of circles, especially wearing pants. And you see a lot of women in here wearing pants. You see some men who have put on some makeup, not quite full drag, but experimenting some with makeup. Seated further in the back, so if anyone looks in the windows, they can't be seen, but they're still showing off for their partners or their dates or whoever they're hanging out with. So the atmosphere in here is very open and lively, and everyone is just having a great time. And you sidle up to the bar. And who's the bartender?
Oh, that would be Carol Slater.
Carol Slater.
Very down to earth, very dependable. Carol is just one of my favorite people that I've met since moving to Hollywood.
So Carol is currently mixing up drinks for two young men who are seated at the bar and are not quite touching, but they're very close in that kind of way of, can we? Should we? I don't know. I want to. Like, those are the kind of vibes you're getting from these two young men. And Carol is making these drinks for them and winking at both of them, and they blush and look away. They can't be more than 21, the pair of them. So you've got your baby gays, and they take their drinks and they move off into the corner, and that still in that same kind of closeness of, we want to be really close, but we also are afraid of how close we can get. even as they're looking around wide-eyed at all of the open queerness around them. It's going to take them a little bit to settle in. Poor things. But at least they're here. At least they're here and they're trying, and that's a beautiful thing. So Carol notices you come in and just lets out this loud, boisterous laugh. Says, "Well, there she is. It's about damn time. Took you forever to get down here tonight."
Well, Carol, if you are up for having a drink tonight, I'm buying. Because I just got a new opportunity at work.
And Carol throws back her head and laughs and says, "I am so pleased to hear that."
I'm still working studios. I'm working both studios for the next couple weeks as we finish up some projects. But Mr. Moore came to me tonight and said he has a new film that's trying something different, and I get to work on a secondary, supporting role and not just the background actors.
Well, aren't we getting fancy? And she pours you a drink, passes it over to you, and she pours one for herself and clinks her glass against yours.
I will absolutely just cheers and clink glasses and have a toast with her to apparently beating Miss Jones's speed at getting to work on more than just background actors. She was very proud of me. She said it took her years, even with her past theater experience before working on silent films, to get to where I am already. Your girl's moving up.
I am so proud of you. Damn, girl.
This could be real big. And I get to work directly on Miss St. Cyr's makeup in the next project. And I know I don't know a lot and I won't be able to say a lot, but if there's anyone I trust to not talk about outside of this room, I mean, God, Carol, it's got to be you, right?
She puts a finger to her lips and gives you a saucy wink.
I don't know what I'd do in this town without you, I swear.
Probably set the whole thing on fire. On a regular basis.
On a regular basis, definitely is outside of what could happen, but is tempting on occasion.
And she pours herself a second drink and looks at you as if, like, you need a top up.
I have an early day tomorrow, so I'm probably only having a couple drinks before I head out. But how could I not celebrate with one of my favorite ladies?
You're a flatterer.
Gotta get by in this town somehow, right? And who better to flatter?
Now you're just getting saucy with me. And she smiles and downs the whole drink in one go. Don't tempt me with a good time.
Okay, fine. I won't tempt you with a good time. Any of the other regulars I happen to know here tonight?
She looks around. Well, let's see. Bart's here, off in the corner. He's got a new friend with him. I don't think I've ever seen him with the same one twice, so that's hardly surprising. Susan's here. Susan's drinking by herself over in the corner over there. She hasn't come up to say hello, other than to get her drink, but she's on her own. And over there, Jonathan and David have made up, apparently. They're back together.
Good for them.
It took long enough. And she shakes her head because the drama between David and Jonathan has been the talk of Peaches for the past 3 weeks.
Well, of course. I mean, it's delightful and devastatingly private enough that any of us get to have a space like this and have these parts of our lives open anywhere, to also have a successful romantic life at the same time in this era. I mean, even not that long ago, but in this era, that is so impressive. Of course, it's going to be the talk of everyone who knows about it, whether they're doing well, whether that's ended. I mean, it's such a small circle. We kind of all know each other's business, right?
It's true. And people feel comfortable enough here to let some of their private lives out because they know that it's safe in a lot of ways. Everyone knows when not to talk and when not to share things, such as when someone that no one knows comes into the bar. There was an incident last week where a reporter came in, but it turned out that someone in the club knew they were a reporter and they got asked to leave very quickly. But everyone's aware of who is around them at all times. So it is an interesting moment when you know of everyone around you, whether it's people that you know personally or people that are known to people who know you, that you can be open about your relationship, open about your drama, open about things that are going on, and even have a public fight with your same-sex partner and know that it's not going to make the papers the next day.
Absolutely.
You know that it's not going to get you arrested. So David and Jonathan's little dramas keep people talking, and the fact that they're back together tonight means that tonight is a safe place in here. There's no one here that is unknown, and you can be free for this evening as long as you choose to stay here.
Fantastic. I will stay at the bar and I'll have a couple drinks, and I will keep an eye out for Dolores, the woman that I am in the flirty conversational stages of things with, hoping that maybe it'll be more than just fun correspondence and a drink occasionally. But otherwise, I have an early day tomorrow. And so I know that if I want to put myself together and be presentable on the set as the confident, more experienced than I actually am makeup artist at the studio, even if it's to dirty up some cowboys, that I can't be out all night.
You do see Dolores. She comes in shortly after you do. Why don't you tell us what Dolores looks like?
Dolores, just a little bit taller than me. She's 5'4", and she has these my studio hairdresser friends would be so jealous of the waves that she just has in her blonde hair by default. She has such a rosy disposition, but also complexion. She's just so unconventional and driven creatively and smart, but also wears pants. And the fact that she is willing to just be walking around outside of these spaces, defying conventions that I'm only really willing to confide in people here that I do anywhere, let alone in the streets, at work. She's brilliant. Sorry, that's hopefully my lady soon. Right now we write friendly letters to each other. So if anyone happens to read our mail or see a note somewhere, they just think that it's two best friends corresponding together.
And they were roommates.
Historical roommates indeed. I will send my slightly taller blonde beauty a drink through Carol to her end of the counter.
Do you have Carol tell Dolores who it's from?
I'll ask Carol to tell her that it's from 5 seats down the bar. And I'll just be waiting to wink at her when she looks over to see who's there.
So you wait a minute. She and Carol have a brief conversation as Carol's mixing her drink. And then you see her kind of count the seats, like not pointing at, but just like 1, 2, 3, 4. And she sees you and an eyebrow goes up, like in the flirty sort of way. And she raises her glass to you.
I'll raise my glass back and wink at her.
And comes walking past, and you hear her mutter, "Oh, this will they, won't they? It's going to get me into an early grave."
Well, maybe if you go out with the new makeup artist for supporting actors and actresses in an upcoming film next week, then it won't be a will they, won't they anymore. And we can celebrate us and other things together.
And she looks at you very intently and says, "Is that a date?"
I mean, I know that this makes me sound like, I don't know, I'm being a little bold here, but yeah, I think it's a date. I'll even take you somewhere that isn't Peaches.
Other places exist?
There are a few. I mean, we should stay on this strip, but I think we could make something work.
She's moved over towards you, so you're kind of close at this point. And she picks up her glass and does that thing where her finger just lightly brushes your skin, just ever so slightly, almost like it could have been an accidental brush. Well, that just sounds absolutely delightful.
What, I know that I have a big Western that I'm still working on for another couple weeks, but what do you say I pick you up Friday and we'll go from there? I promise to have a whole thing planned for you.
So bold. I like my women bold.
Well, what can I say? You make me feel like I should be bolder.
And she's got a genuine full smile, not just the kind of flirty one that she's been giving you since she realized who sent her the drink. Like she's got a genuinely blossoming smile on her face and says, "That might be the nicest thing a lady's ever said to me."
Well, I'm not just bumping gums here. I'm going to take you out on the town and we'll share a lot more nice things. This time I'll give her a flirty little smile back.
Just two dames doing dame things.
Nothing more, as far as anyone else is concerned.
No one else's business.
So, Friday, I get off work at the studio. I come pick you up.
Friday sounds good to me. I'll be there with bells on.
Yvonne is going to just break the act of being coy and have this ecstatic look on her face. I hate to leave so soon. I was just hoping to see you tonight. I told Carol already, and I'm sure it'll come up, and I'd hate for you to find out from anyone other than me. But as I sort of mentioned before, there might be a big opportunity at work for me. Some new kind of film that Mr. Moore got the okay to do. So as soon as I'm done with this Western and the current projects, I get to move up. I'm not just going to be doing background actors anymore, and I don't know what that's going to do to my schedule. But I'm so excited for Friday, and I'll make time for you. No matter what it looks like, I'll make time for you.
And she smiles again, and this time she definitely intentionally brushes your hand. Says, "Well, my, I've got a date with a big up-and-coming makeup artist. Look at me moving up in the world."
Well, look at us go. We'll be we'll be butter and egg women in no time. Out here, wealthy, influencing people, taking control of Hollywood.
Yes, we will be the secret organization that everyone fears, running things in the background. Together.
I mean, as far as they treat us right now, I think that's already how they see us. Might as well make it actually the case.
We run this town. They just don't know it yet. And she gestures at all the actors, the makeup artists, the costumers. There's even a couple directors in here. There's people who are known in Hollywood, and she gestures at all of them as if to say, if only they knew.
Absolutely. I'll just nod and sort of knowingly smile at her gesture of all of these influential people in the room with us. And God, I wish I could stay tonight. But it's been such a long day. And I just know I have to get up early to dirty up cowboys. So,
not my idea of a good time.
Well, it's all right. There's not as good of a time as spending time with you, though.
Well, you have a wonderful few days dirtying up your cowboys, and then we'll have a wonderful time. She lets it trail off.
I'll gently stroke her hand back. We'll have a wonderful time and just trail off there as well.
And I think that is where we will leave Yvonne for the evening. So thank you very much, Bunny, for joining me, and looking forward to seeing more of what happens with Yvonne. But we'll do that next time. In the meantime, thank you and good night.